Okay, welcome to Daf Lamed in Yerushalmi Sotah, and we're by Halacha Gimel. I'll just say that at our top of this Daf, there's a lot of different Gersos back and forth uh, at the end of the Daf and Daf Lamed Aleph, so bear with me. Fact. Okay. Zok Teli Mishnah Shoyi B'Din. We're starting in the middle of a sentence. Shoyi B'Din. So Zok the carbon Eidish Shlo Yehei Eid Echad Em Ba Im Loim Exeris HaKasav. Why would an Echad be believed if not for the fact they would have Exeris HaKasav? Otherwise, we wouldn't believe in Eid Echad. Shoyi B'Din. Umam Eidus Rishon Sheino Yisrael Yisraelam. Einem Eskems Apachs Mishnah Yema Doch the original Eidus. The Eidus Rishon. We're talking about the stira, right? Shena Satir Soilam, right? When it's not an Israelim, it's only in Istira. So you have two Adam who said, okay, we saw she was so she's going to drink, and if she's innocent, no problem. Einem Eskems Apachs Mishnah, you need two Adam for that. Edus Achroina, Shehi Sarta Israelim. Edus Achroina means Tuma. In other words, once there was a stira, now Edus come and say she was Metama. So we have the Adam saying she was Tameh, she is Satir Sa'olam, and additionally, this kind of Pachas Mishnayim. Certainly, you should need two Adam for that because that's a permanent Issa, right? Like we just learned. Talmud Loim of Edain Bo, Kol Shiesh Bo, any kind of aid that's there. Edain Bo, and there is referring to even one aid. Kavachoyim Mil Eidus Rishayna. Now, Zakta Mishnah, Kabachom Leis Rishayna. Meyata, we can go the other way around. Meyata Mame, this Rechroina, Shia Saito Soilam. Harim is Kemis Beid Echad. It's even Makoy Meid Echad, even though it's in Israelam. Edis Rishayna, Shena Saito Soilam. And in addition to this kind Beid Echad, certainly I would think the Edis Rishayna should be Makoyim with one eight. Tamalema, Kimotzabar Vas Dava. Ulahal Nomer, Al Pi Shnei Edim, Al Pi Shloish Edim, Yokum Dava. Ma Dava Omolahalon, Al Pi Shnei Edim. So it's two Edim. So therefore, that the pasuk negates the kavachayim that you would have. Shoybedin ma edus rishayna v'chulei zok the gemara edus rishayna zu stira edus achrayna zu tama. Okay, like we saw. Masitu Rabbi Shuda Rabbi Shua mekana masrila al pishnayim. So if he's mekana, he's masrila. He has to warn her with two edim. Umashkala also al pishnayim. Abrabana v'hila kahin tana. Asya. This can even go according to Rabbi Eliezer as well, right? The Tani Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda Mishum Rabbi Eliezer Mekanal al pi echad, al pi atzmai. However, mashke is al pi shnayim, and the mashke includes the stira, not because that's how you're going to be mashke with the stira. And he says al pi shnayim. So therefore, the Mishnah is not necessarily Rabbi Shua. It can also be going according to Rabbi Eliezer. Zok Tedli Mishnah Eidai Minit Meis Veino Meloinit Meis. Ishemes, nitmes, ishemes, loy nitmes, hoisa shais. In all these cases, you have one aide saying yes, the other can that she was tummy, the other one says no, or the Isha says yes and he says no. Then hoisa shaisa, she would drink. Aid because it's a suffix. Aid oimen nitmes. Aid oimen nitmes ve'edim shneim oimen loy nitmes. How about if you have one aide says she was tummy, and two aidim say no, she wasn't tummy. At least in this sitting, she was not tummy. Hoisa shaisa, she would drink because again, it's still in serious doubt. How about two Adim say nitmes, loy nitmes, and one says she's not tame. So now you have two. In this case, the two Adim say nitmes. In this case, loy has a shaisa because we're going to that she was tame, and therefore she doesn't have the privilege of being shaisa. Fine. But ish anytime an ish has an imanis as an aid, she has the same dinim as an ish would have. Fine. So Freiti Gemara, if that's the case, this neirechad aminit meis, Isha amra loinit meis, Isha amra nit meis, veid amaloinit meis. Why don't we have a case in the Mishnah that says aid and aid? So Mashma says male, male. Why don't we say a better case? You just told me that a woman has no one just like a man. If that's the case, so say that it's a Isha says nit meis, and the aid says it says loinit meis, or vice versa. So the Gemara says, yeah, it's actually Tana Beis Rabbi came. That actually there is a girsa. The Beis Rabbi, this is where they used to learn that it involves an isha. Tana Shem Nechemia Hochanach Haroiv Eidus. We learn Sukti Gemara B'Shem Nechemia that Hochan Acharoiv Eidus. In other words, we go based on the majority of the Eidim. Hey Chavitos explains to Gemara what does this mean exactly. Shtei Noshmi Shachas Also Oisak Shnei Eidim Veid Echad. You have two women versus a woman. So two women say nitmes, and Ishach says maybe light nitmes. So we say we look at it as two Eidim versus an Eid, and therefore in our case where the two Eidim where the two women say Nitme, she wouldn't drink. That is only where it's all women involved. So all the Eidim here are women. Let's say you have 100 women and one Eid. And so that all it is, it's Eid versus Eid. Even if it's 100 women. But if there's one man on the other side, it's Eid be'Eid. Actually, according to Carbon Eid, I think it's Ravad Bar Hava. Okay. Ama Eid Echad Nemel Tamoisa, Ein Eid Echad Nemel Afsidu Biksu Vasa. Okay. Ein Echad is Nem like we saw and on Daf Chavtes is Nemel Tamoisa, Bein Echad Nemel Afsidu Biksu Vasa. Amar Avchis Damat Tam Amru, Eid Echad Nemel Tamoisa. Why do we say Eid Echad is Nemel Tamoisa? The fact that we know that there was a stira over here, right? We know that there was a stira, and 1:8 says, oh, by the way, she was also Tama, so we say, well, the fact she went in there, she was secluded, a guy in the room. What else did she do in the room? So there's Reglaim Ladava. Therefore, she's Neman, and that's why Rav Adabachua says he's Neman Latamaisa, because it's regular Reglaim Ladava, but not Nafsidik Subasa. Shema Abba B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan, Kan Lo Hoysa Shaisa, Uve Egla Rufa Hoyu Orphan. So you had a similar case for Egla Rufa. So we say Kan Lo Hoysa Shaisa, once you Neman Tamaisa, since there's Reglaim Ladava, so we say that she doesn't get to drink, she doesn't have the privilege of drinking. However, by Egla Rufa, let's say one guy comes along and says he saw the Harug, we would still do the Egla Rufa. And again, Egla Rufa is brought where we don't know who the murderer was. We don't know. And so if an Eidech comes along and says something, we would still do it because we still don't know. Rav Haisa Shoisa. Rav is Garis in our Mishnah. In the first case, Haisa Shoisa, which is like we have in the Mishnah. It says Eid, I'm an Itmes, Vedim and Litmes. We said Haisa Shoisa, that's Rav's Girs as well. Masnita, Pligal Rav. The Mishnah, right, right. It's a Kash and Rav. And now the Gemara is going to go through. There's two different shatim. I ended up going with mostly the Pnei Moshe over here. Well, it's actually a steer in the Mishnah based on Rav and on Rabbi Yochanan. We'll see in a minute also as well. But it's a little bit confusing. So Masnita Pligal Rav. Eid Echad Nitmes, Vishnayim Amrim Loi Nitmes. So you have Eid Echad that says Nitmes. Vishnayim and two Eidim say Loi Nitmes. Rav, that was the case in the Mishnah. We said Hoysa Shoisa, she would drink. That's what we said in the Mishnah. What can we infer from this? We can Medayi Kob Eid Echad Loisa Shoisa, right? So if I'm telling you that Eid Echad Nitmes, Vishnayim Amrim Loi Nitmes, and I'm telling you Hoysa Shoisa, why Shoisa? Because two Eidim are saying Loi Nitmes, right? So if it's Eid be'Eid, then maybe why would the loy nitmis have any nemonis over the nitmis when we say loy is a shaisa? So what do we see from here? This is a Kash and Rav. Rav says hoysa shaisa. So he says pasala b'psule eidis. What we're talking about is saying two Eidim doesn't mean two regular people who are kosher Eidim, two men. It means two psule eidis. What about the Sefer? Shnaim in this case, the two, keeping in mind that Shnayim means Psule means, and they're saying Nitmes, and one says Loy Nitmes, Loy Hoysa Shaisa. She wouldn't drink, right? Okay. Ha Eid Be'eid, Loy Hoysa Shaisa. So Eid Be'eid, they also wouldn't drink. And this is again going with the Pnei Moshe's gears over here. Right, because that's what you would say from over here. The same way when we say Shnayim, keep in mind Psule Eidis says Nitmes. Right? Ve'eid Echadaime Loy Nitmes, Loy Yisra Ha'eid Ve'eid, also Loy Yisra Shaisa. Ve'ech Rav Amma, Ha'yisra Shaisa. So how can Rav say that Ha'yisra Shaisa? Because we said before, and again I'm reading from the Pnei Moshe over here, Ha'eid Be'eid Lo Yisra Shaisa. Klaim Ha'reilo Fanecha De'eid Be'eid Lo Yisra Shaisa. Why? The Ha'reilo Vrech, he told me before, Ashtayim Psule Eidis, Kechat Chashivi, they consider to be one. Right? Legabe Eid Kosher, V'habekmoy Eid Kosher, Legabe Eid Kosher, because we're saying only the Shnayim Psuletis. The Eid Echad, he's a regular guy. So there we have two Psuletis, let's say they're women, right? Versus one man. We see over here, Lo Yisra Shaisa. Ve'ech Rava Mo Yisra Shaisa. Okay. So now, Gemara says, what, Rabbi Yochanan is any better? Rabbi Yochanan lo yisur shaisa. That's what he told me before. He's Garis lo yisur shaisa. Masnik b'li Rabbi Yochanan. We have a kasha here from the Mishnah Rabbi Yochanan. Shnaim oimrim nit meis, veid oimel lo nit meis, lo yisur shaisa. She wouldn't drink, right? Because there's reglaim ladavo that she's tummy, therefore she doesn't get the privilege of drinking. Ha eid be'eid, ha'isur shaisa, right? Eid be'eid, apparently, ha'isur shaisa, right? Unlike what you told me in Rechina. Pasalo b'psuliadis again, same teretz. V'im b'psuliadis, when it says emi reisha, what about the reisha? Eidam nit meis, right? 1:8 says nit meis, shnaim oimrim, again, these are the psuliadis, loy nit meis, so it's really eid be'eid, ha'isur shaisa, ha'eid be'eid, you see from there, ha'isur shaisa. Hech Rabbi Yochanan, lo yisur shaisa. How can Rabbi Yochanan say lo yisur shaisa? Now, Amrin. So, the Mishnah, by the way, this is a stira in the Mishnah itself, because how you have you concluding two different things from the same Mishnah, two different diyokim. Amrim Shem Rav Shmuel b'psuli edis he masnita. That the Mishnah, like we said, is talking about psuli edis. Amrim Shem Rav Shmuel b'stira acheres he masnita, and we're talking about there was a previous stira. Rab Zeira boy kum Reb Mana mao bestir acheres mistita. What does that exactly mean? Amalei kena Rabbi Yochanan Mishem Rabbi Yanai kol lahem pirka mishakina lo v'nistra. This whole perik over here that we have of mishakina means mishakina lo v'nistra. There was already a steer over here. Now, here's where we had a lot of different gesas, and it's a little confusing. So I believe, I ended up going with the carbon Ada on this. Nistra. The over here. So I will go back to Pnei Moshe over here. I want to jump to Pnei Moshe over here. Psula edus himasnita zok to Pnei Moshe. Claim the Lord tiduk midi bein l'rab bein l'rab Yochanan. There's nothing to be medayik on over here, and that's how he's answering. It's all these kashas all from the Yukim, right? So he's answering, no, there's nothing to be medayik. The kul masnita b'psula edus mari bein eda echad bein shnaim. Everybody here, we're not talking about when we say 2 versus 1. It's not like we want to learn earlier. 2 is psula edus versus 1, which is who's a man who's kasha, and therefore it's a be'ed, right? And then you have your whole diuk. No, the kamashal in the hochum psula edus acha roiv deis. The chiddush over here is by psula edus. We go after roiv deis. Bein lechumra bereisha doisa shoisa bein lekula b'sevet loitish the alveid echot kosher shnaim psulin ki palgo dami lekulam. That would be right. V'have ke'ed be'ed ksherim. Urav hoisa shoisa urav yoichanan loisa shoisa. That comes out to the machlokes. In other words, it's not a steer in the Mishnah itself from the Yukim, because it's not meant it's not meant for a diuk. It's meant to tell you the halacha in and of itself. It's not meant to say, oh, if you have 2 eidim versus 1, it's this. Therefore, eid be'eid must be that. No, it's just coming to tell you the chiddush in and of itself that hoichel acharoiv deis. It's not meant. You're not meant to be medayik anything. So we come down to it's machlokes between Rav Rabbi Yochanan whether we say eid be'eid is shoisa or not shoisa. Okay. Now, Nistra, so now back to us over here. Nistra b'fnei shnayim. So now we're going to go with the carbonated of Nistra b'fnei shnayim. Amarei dechel risi shenit meis lacha kedei stira yesh kan stira v'yesh kan tuma. Oich kedei stira yesh kan stira v'ein kan tuma. So what's this case talking about? V'och perushe. Reisha ditnan amar echad ani risi shenit meis loy hoysa shoysa. The ratio we said, where one aide comes and says, "I need to eat shenit meis." I saw that she was tamei lo yisashay, so she didn't drink. Iris shenistra b'fnei shnayim. V'amer echad mehen ani reisi shenitmeis lacha stira. I saw that after the stira, she was tamei. So neman al stira v'neman al tamei lekachin a she doesn't end up drinking because over here it was talking about he right you had two Adam came and it was lacha kedei stira. So there was two people came and they said they saw her being the stira. Now one aid of those two comes and says, I saw her actually be tummy. So if that's the case, but it was afterwards, so then Einoi, so then we believe him on the Tumah, and we believe the steer because the steer attack had to aid him. So the middle case that nan Edo minute meis ve'edo meloinit meis. Irish azer mishnit meis toich stira, right? Yesh kan stira, sheshnei moidim ala stira, avlein kan Tumah. We're talking about a case where the two Aiden came and they said that she was Saisa, and one aid says, well, within that stira, I saw that she was Tommy, but the other aid is Makrishim. The other aid says, no, there was no stira. Let's say over here you have three. Okay, so it wasn't two people like we just had; it was three. So you shloisha echadoi mani risir shnit meis b'tochidei stira yesh kan stira ve'ein kan tuma. Keeping so just the covenant. Either keeping the stira v'tuma vad yadadi ka'asyan v'ainu seifa edom minit meis v'shnayim ameloy meis ha'isa shaisa. Because over here we're talking about ha'ishloisha echadoi mani risir shnit meis b'tochidei stira yesh kan stira ve'ein kan tuma. So there's a stira here, but there's no tum over here. So you shloisha echdem and idris here shenit meis betoich stira. So yesh kan stira vein kan toma, right? Because if you say that it was toich de stira, so there's no toma of it. Well, now we don't believe him on the toma because he's being makrish the other two where they say there was only a stira. La'acha kedei stira. Let's say he says la'acha kedei stira. Yesh kan stira. The yesh kan toma, because again, like we saw earlier, v'ochi perusha zok the carbon. Eda afilu echadoi menitmeis la'acha kedei stira, lo yeheser shoisa, kivin shekadmula stira. So there's reglaim ledava that is toma over here because he's saying it was la'acha kedei stira. So he's not being soisa what the other Adam said regarding the stira, and therefore there's reglaim that she's tama and she would not drink. Hayu shloisha echadoi menitmeis shaloi nitmeis b'toich de stira. And one of them says, "Aniris here shaloy nitmeis betoch de stira mat avadlo ke'edus shabat mitzvah sabat lakulo it is kaim edus b'shar." So the question is, let's see the case. Let's see the carbon eda. Hoy shlosh echelem aniris here v'chule mi boyle. Seifa that nan shnei momer nitmeis v'echelem eloy nitmeis. Shnei momer nitmeis v'echelem nitmeis v'may muk misla betoch de stira. Right, the case of the Sefer Tan Shneimim Nitmeis, Ve'echad Loim Loim Nitmeis, and we had said it's talking about Torch De Stira, Amru Shneim Shenitmeis, Ve'echad Makrisha, Ve'afilo Hachi Havle Ke'e De Stira, right, Ve'shoysa, Ve'lonis Battle Collatus. Do we say, because there's three over here, and right, so this is similar to the Gemara Makis. So because you have three Edom over here, two of them are saying there was a stira, and one of them is saying Torch Kedei stira, there was also a tumah. So in that case, do we say that we don't believe the whole thing is destroyed because there's one, the Edis is Edis Mukreshes. I'm sorry. The first way is we say faket. No, that it's not an Eids Muchesh. We say that listen. The bottom line is there's two Eidim here for the stira. You have one guy saying there's also tama. So let's separate them. A stira you have, okay. Tuma you don't have, and she would drink. Dilma zok the carbonate have like Eidu Shabbat Mitzvah about the kula. Right? Masnid b'shomu hashnaim nitmes la'achak kedei stira. And our Mishnah is talking about what they said. There was achak kedei stira, and that's why there's reglaim of she's tum and she wouldn't drink. So Amar Rav Avamori Mekibon that Amar Be'edu Shabbat Umitzas Shabbat Lakula Moido Acha Sheteskai Me'edus B'Sham Pnei Shem Glaim Ledava. Even according to Shem Mekivan that Mar, in other words, over here it doesn't mean what we would normally think. Mekiv because you said no, it means over here even according to. Now it's even according to the sheet that it holds normally Edu Shabbat Umitzas Shabbat Lakula over here would agree that that. That at the that over here that it's not an edus mukeshes, and we don't say edus shabbat and shabbat lakula because at the end of the day, all three edim agree on the stira. The only question is the tuma. But since all three agree on the stira, we say that there was that at least was a that at least was a stira. The edus is not mukeshes. Adrian Allah pek mishakine. Hadloch pek mishakine. Hadloch pek mishakine.